Welcome everybody to Rod Pod and Chill. My name is Heidi Sigmund Kuda. I am here with Jim Stewartson and High Fidelity. Boy, oh boy, I barely made it into the chair tonight, but I'm so happy to be here. There's so much I want to talk to you guys about. This is our weekly recap. We did episode 68 earlier in the week. We had a very important activist join us, Julie Delorier, and she is from Truth Over Fox on the site formerly known as the Tweeters. And for those who have not seen the full episode, we have some wonderful highlights from it that we're going to share with you. But Jim,
can I just say,
yeah,
Julie's fucking metal.
She's so metal.
listen to me carefully, people. Be like Julie. I'm telling you that she's a person who saw a problem and fucking did something about it.
Yeah.
And she's going right at the source of it, right at the hardcore, evil fucking Murdoch source of it all. And it's not easy going out there every week and, getting harassed by whoever. But, I'm proud to now know her. It was a great interview. She's amazing.
Yeah, it was really hard picking the clips because there was just so much good stuff. I encourage everybody, please go to YouTube or our formerly known as Twitter handle, Radicalized Pod. Do watch the full episode. The reason I'm so excited to jump in tonight, Jim, as I was listening back to the episode and listening back to your hellscape, hearing it for the second time, I'm usually so worried about, the timing, is the guest coming, whatever. So I don't always get to focus as much as I'd like to. However, listening back to it the second time, I picked up on something that I missed the first time. And I just wanted to share this with you. When I wrote a book back in the day with the bodyguard of Tupac Shakur, something very interesting happened on the night that he died. It was the very first time that the bodyguards were told they could not bring their weapons with them. For the first time going to Nevada, going to Las Vegas, the person who ran the security company sent them a note saying that he hadn't filed the paperwork in time, so nobody could be armed. And I bring that up, Jim, because you shared with us that in the last days of the Trump quote unquote presidency, there was a very odd memo sent out where it was designated that the Capitol Police could not be armed. Can you speak a little bit about that? Because when I heard that, just a huge loud reverberation and echo ran through my head from the Tupac story that I think draws sort of an interesting and a little bit of a scary parallel in my mind.
Yeah, on January 4th, Christopher Miller, acting Secretary of Defense, Christopher Miller, completely unqualified chud, who was put in there after the election.
Yeah.
On January 4th, put out a memo, and the memo basically said Capitol Police can't have any military style stuff on. They can't defend them. They can't have armor. They can't have lots of anything that looks vaguely, like they might be able to do law enforcement.
Yeah.
Right? And then he also said in the same memo that all demands or requests for National Guard assistance must go all the way up to guess who? Acting Secretary of Defense, Christopher Miller. Literally a very fucking weird memo out of the blue, came from like, by the way, in a couple days, it's no big deal, but just in case, I want to be the guy to tell you if the national, like, first of all, why was he so interested in that, and why did he do a whole memo about that? But you know, then on the 6th, what happened? On the 6th, what happened? There were a few white boys who got on the phone together to talk things out about optics. We got to worry about these optics out here, boys. You can't have all these any National Guard coming against our maggers. That would be terrible. And so for 3 fucking hours, Chris Miller, Walter Pyatt, and Secretary Ryan McCarthy from the Army, and Charles fucking Flynn sat on the phone on a video conference call that Charles Flynn initiated for 3 fucking hours. And why is that? Because of the memo. Because the National Guard is going, fuck, dude, they're fucking attacking the Capitol. And they're out there going, boy, it's a shame what's happening down there at the Capitol. We got to worry about them optics. Wait a second. Oh shit, I gotta go. I gotta go to the bathroom. I'll be right back in an hour and a half. I mean, it was fucking ridiculous. While a mob of neo-Nazis is attempting to murder out loud, hang Mike Pence, they're saying it fucking out loud, a giant mob of them, and these fucking crackers are up in the Pentagon going, oh no, seems like maybe we'll let it play out, right? So they literally waited until they were sure that it was not going to succeed.
Right.
And then they were like, oh, gee Willikers, boy, why didn't you say something earlier? Right? And so just to wrap this, the fucking Department of Defense Inspector General did a report about this fucking bullshit, and listened to Charles Flynn, Ezra Cohen-Wadnick, and Chris Miller, and Kash Patel, a bunch of fucking liars who completely misinformed the Inspector General, and/or the Inspector General was down with the program. I don't know. But what came out was, according to the head of the DC National Guard, what came out was propaganda worthy of the best Stalinist or North Korean propaganda, and called 4-star General Charles Flynn an absolute liar. Now, in this situation, who are we going to believe? Who are we going to believe? The head of the National Guard, who's begging and pleading out loud on numerous channels, let me fucking send my people in there. And they told him no. So who are we going to believe? Who are we going to believe? And why the fuck is Charles Flynn in charge of 100,000 men and women who have entrusted their lives to the military of the United States, who has left them in the hands of this guy who not 3 years ago now tried to overthrow the government? Seems like we got an issue.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the fuck is going on in the military, but
it's just.
I'm just going to sum this up real fast. Thank you for coming to my
TED Talk and for the opportunity.
I'm just going to sum this up real fast. There you go.
So, even though the meme is funny, the truth is that I've been going to Ruth Ben-Ghiat's.
What did that?
There was a little cartoon of It's a Setup. I just want to say I've been going to Ruth Ben-Ghiat's meetings every single week, and I learned a lot about history from America's foremost scholar on Italian fascism. And her book Strong Men maps
High
out
five, mute, you boomer.
he is muted. I think he is muted. What's going on? Is Jim hearing some noise, or is it coming from me?
No.
Okay.
He was hacking.
Okay. There. Now he was muted. Now he's muted. Okay. Let me just finish my point. Can you guys hear me? Yeah. My point is that what I have learned from listening to what I have learned from listening to Ruth for years is that these guys who come into power to hide corruption, usually for worse people who are trying to hide corruption, usually they are patsies of even worse people. They surround themselves with people willing to do corruption as well. They bring out the worst in the people that they surround themselves with, and they often seek out people who are compromised in one way or another. I defer to Kira Giles' 84-second explainer on that. But I think there's still this real naivete in America where they still can't believe that it could be this bad. But the devil is in the details that Jim just explained to us. That is paying attention to things like that. A memo that goes out saying, don't be armed, a congressional hearing where we hear another member of the military say that there was a lapse in time for any action to take place. Like, we need to have consequences for this. We don't need things just to go swept under the rug. It's very important that we don't memory hole any of it, as Ruth would say. So that's where I wanted to start today for obvious reasons.
Cool.
There's a saying where I grew up, and I'm sure everyone has some variation of this, but it's if you're going to talk shit, that's going to lead to starting shit. And we got a lot of people talking a lot of violent stuff in this country, and it's really. I know we have the First Amendment, and freedom of speech is important, but when you're threatening not just people, not just individuals, with execution for treason, but you're threatening the entire way of being of your country. When you're threatening the Constitution of the United States of America, there needs to be some sort of standard applied. This isn't yelling fire in a theater house. This is yelling fire across the country and hoping someone takes you up on it.
Absolutely. And I think that the more accountability we start to see, the more the escalation of that desperation will continue. We are not safe in 2023 and 2024. Those of us on the front lines of the information war must buckle up. I'm aware of that. I'm looking at David K. Johnston's piece from 2 days ago. Judge gives Trump organization the corporate death penalty. That's a big deal because Donald Trump being no longer in business when he fancied himself the king in New York, that's a big deal. So the ugly will be ratcheted up. The stochastic terrorism will be ratcheted up. And I say that thinking, how much worse can it get? I don't even tempt the fates on that because it can get a lot worse. And the more the squeeze, is put on America's leader of the GOP, the more we can expect stochastic terrorism and those who have been brainwashed to carry it out. So it's important, but it's also very freaking important that Tish James brought this civil fraud case. And it's very, very freaking important that they are following through and that the judge's 35-page decision on it was just eviscerating. And that also Trump's own lawyers themselves were in the crosshairs of this for making frivolous arguments. So it's very important, but I can already see how it's going. It's like literally, Jim talked about whiplash. It's like, we're going to see that we are a country of laws, and we're going to see ruthless psychopaths, cutthroats, trying to continue their destruction. And it is yet to be determined, who's going to win. So it's very important we pay attention. Yes, high five.
Speaking of cutthroat psychopaths, the second Republican presidential debate happened, right? That was a damn mess. But the thing that I really wanted people to notice about the Republican presidential debate was the sole online streaming platform for the debate was Rumble Video. And of course, as we all know, Rumble Video, aside from being home to, well, a massive amount of QAnon propaganda and stochastic terrorism, was also funded by J.D. Vance.
Oh, hi. Thanks for checking in. I'm still a piece of garbage.
It took a long time, man. I don't know. It was okay. It was pretty good.
It was a long lead.
It was a long lead. It got a little obvious. Like anybody who's watched more than a couple times is like, all right, here it comes. So you got. I think next time just.
Hey, give the people what they want.
I
want to know.
I enjoyed it. I was happy to see it.
I always enjoy. I enjoy the analysis and the rating process afterwards.
Yes. So Jim, I would like you to speak on Rumble, because what Hi-Fi said, again, devil being in the details, that is like what embodies your statement more about how this is no longer politics, this is information warfare. What could embody that more than having the Republican debate airing on Rumble? That's kind of terrifying to me.
I mean, it's like sponsored by Rumble and shit, as if Rumble is anything. So briefly, Rumble was some teeny tiny little bitty itty website up in fucking Canada, like not that long ago, a couple of years ago. And it was mostly animal videos, literally animal videos and some video game shit and whatever. Teeny tiny little family friendly fucking website. And all of a sudden it started attracted, because it was, I guess because it was, hadn't been, gotten by the wokes. It started attracting some right wing shit, and then Peter Thiel was like, "All right, whatever, that one looks good," and he just dumped like I don't know how much fucking money he put in there, but he's paying Tulsi Gabbard, Glenn Greenwald, a bunch of these big personalities in the mid six figures just to do a weekly little podcast or whatever on Peter Thiel's fucking website. Now here's the thing. Peter Thiel's website is 100%, not 90%, 100% Kremlin propaganda. All of it. The whole fucking thing. Right? So it's got the Nazi stuff, and it's got the QAnon stuff, and the Sovset stuff, and the Andrew Tate, and the fucking every single like terrible aberration that has been, metastasized into these, god awful tumors hanging off the body politic. All of them are being platformed on this god awful shithole website, and now it's public. It's a public company that you can buy stock in. So bear with me. You can buy stock in Kremlin propaganda served to you by Peter Thiel on the fucking stock exchange, right next to Palantir. You can have Palantir. You have over here, so you can do all the data analytics, so you can go get the poor normies and suck them into your rabbit hole, and then you have your rabbit hole over here. You can buy them both. You can have a whole strategy about how to weaponize Kremlin propaganda to fucking brainwash people. That doesn't seem right to me.
No.
Maybe I'm just an old man. Maybe it's just fine that we have like a whole stock symbol for fucking Putin's genocide.
Yeah.
Literally. Right?
Yeah, I know.
It's perfectly normal.
Yeah. No.
Or we're not doing jack shit. And forgive me, I'm going to land my plane in a minute. Joe Biden, I love you, bro.
Me
You're
too.
doing a great job for our country. You're doing lots of good things, wonderful things. Economy's fine, right? But you're wondering, how is it that I'm doing so great, but my numbers are in the tank? How is that possible? You are asking yourself, Joe Biden, and so you go and you do a great speech about how democracy is being threatened. The issue is, Mr. President, you are not explaining the threat. You are not explaining to the American people what's happening to them and to the people that they love that are getting picked off one by one.
Yep.
You're not being honest with us about where it's coming from, which is a Russian imperialist war criminal who's activated a bunch of compromised people inside the United States to run military psyops on American citizens, which is why your numbers are like they are. Because 30% of them cannot change their minds because they're locked into some fucking alternate reality created by Vladimir Putin and distributed by Peter fucking Thiel.
Mm-hmm.
So, Mr. President, and I wrote a tweet about this or whatever the fuck you call it, like, we need some honesty. That the only way out of this is to be honest with ourselves, with each other, and understand, and I'm landing here, the best way to help somebody who's being brainwashed is to stop brainwashing them. It's amazing. That shit works. Our friend Jen Senko found out the hard way. She had to run an experiment on her own dad.
Mm-hmm.
And the experiment was, ding, 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 if you take the fucking poison out of their brain, they will get better.
Mm-hmm.
And so will our country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. High five before you run our first clip from Julie. I just want to quote Jim. Hold your thought, bro. We are already in a post-political world. It's not politics, it's psychological war. That's what everyone is missing. What Jim just explained is what we are all going through. This is a post-political world. It's not politics. It keeps on being shown on TV as if it's politics. And what happens when you show the garbage junk that the Putin's GOP is doing to America? It weakens us. It weakens us. It weakens us globally. It weakens us. If you want America to be strong, then we must all acknowledge that we are no longer dealing with politics. In Jim's words, we are dealing with psychological war. We knew it was coming. We had everything in place to fight it. We were, according to our friend, the former president of Estonia, America was positioned to be able to fight it better than anybody. And what happened when it came to our shores? We rolled, we did nothing, we learned nothing. The media is the biggest villain and incredibly complicit. And I think that's where we start our first clip from Julie Delorier from Truth Over Fox and Truth Tuesdays. For 2.5 years, by the way, this woman and her the people that she protests with have been out there every single Tuesday in front of Fox, making noise, disrupting Hannity, getting yelled at by Americans in a way she's never experienced it before, particularly because she believes herself to be, and we believe her to be, a true patriot. Let's hear from Julie.
Our country is under attack, right? By propagandists, by foreign-backed propagandists who are trying to change the brains of our citizens. And we need to fight that in every legal manner possible. And Julie is a sterling example of this. And within legal civil means, please be like Julie.
Jim, thank you for that. And you're highlighting really the nugget that we're all working on, and that I'm talking strategies but you're talking why we're doing it, and it's because it's this network posing as news and fooling people into thinking that they're hearing news, and we're trying to get visibility and get the message across that it's a propaganda outlet. It's nothing but propaganda, and it's not like brainwashing. It is brainwashing, and we know how to deprogram one cult member at a time. We know how to do that, but how to scale up and deprogram a quarter of our country, it's been incredibly painful to watch people I grew up with lose their minds to actually evil, toxic poison. And so that's our motivation, and it's much, that's a much more important thing than just our logistics and our strategies. It's what we're all of us trying to win back the soul of our country.
Pretty much nailed it. You're all muted.
Trying to win back the soul of our country. We're trying to win back the soul of our country. That's what we're doing. That's what this is all about. Thank you, Julie. What do you say, Jim?
Yeah, I'm just, Julie is a woman of my own heart. She saw a problem, right? She's like, damn, that seems like a really fucking hard problem. Okay, here we go. And started organizing people and putting together Facebook groups and got her ass out to the street with a bunch of other people every fucking week for 2.5 years, and disrupted their little music events where they have some pop star and then they say a bunch of fucking Nazi shit, and then they have another song, they say another bunch of Nazi shit. Well, they made it more difficult for that little transaction to take place between the complicit fuckers who go in that show and the hosts. But little stuff like that matters, because every week they're pretending like it's normal. Mm-hmm. And Lori is reminding people every day, all day, this isn't normal.
No.
We don't have to think this is normal. Everyone should be, and I understand why people can't. We have lives and all of that shit. Everybody should be protesting about fucking something. Mm-hmm. Or getting to your own school board or whatever it is. I don't give a shit. Mm-hmm. But these guys are mobilizing, and they're mobilizing in a not good way at all. Local action has a national impact, right? That's what Mike Flynn always fucking says. And he said that first 2 years ago. But guess what? It's working. So there's lots and lots of ways all of y'all can help. Just, around yourself, learn about what this is, right? Learn about the actual mechanics. Learn from Dr. Hassan what you should do when you're talking to somebody who's affected. Learn as much as you can, and then tell other people. Our problem so far has been that the bad guys have been better at getting their bullshit out than we have been about getting the truth out about this shit.
Yeah.
And the only way to change that dynamic is to fight on the battlefield that exists with the rules that exist, not some political fantasy world.
Yeah.
We are not in that situation right now.
Right.
I can't wait to get back to that if we ever do, where you have some nice people on the TV, maybe have a tiff, and it's big news, right? But now just a bunch of fucking moron, fascist, complicit Vichy motherfuckers standing around like trying desperately to do right-wing comedy. It was, I mean, these people, all of it is just sick.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to start being honest about that, being open about it. And,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, so anyway, I'm yapping again. So
no, it's all good stuff. It's important stuff. So Julie gave us all a very simple thing that everybody can do. Yes, organize in your communities. Yes, find the things that you can do to make a difference. But she said, anywhere, anybody in this country can be in any doctor's office or any public place. And if they're playing Fox News, you can politely ask them to turn the channel and change the channel. And that's a very easy thing that people can do. And she said that it generally works. That is one of their action steps that they encourage people to do. She said,
and even if it doesn't, right?
You've registered.
Maybe next time, whoever that is behind the counter is going to be like, yeah, you know, maybe we'll try something else, because I don't want to have somebody tell me that you know, the Nazi channel's on.
Yeah.
Right. Like, we got to start pushing back against this shit. It is not normal for these fucking people to be in Congress, like running for fucking president with 91 felony. What the motherfucking fuck?
Yeah.
We can't normalize any of this.
That's right.
And so, you know, the good news about being this far down the rabbit hole is there's no shortage of things to do.
Yes, that's true.
Right? Get off your ass. We're going to need to get out the vote.
Yeah.
But we're going to need to make sure there's a fucking election first. Mm-hmm. So let's suit up is all I'm saying. Go ahead, Hi-Fi.
All right. I agree with your sentiments, sir. I agree with your sentiments, but I would like to go north of the border, north of America. Yes, America is hitting, you know, a boiling point. But let's talk about Canada for a second, because they're having some of the same problems. One of the things we talk about Rumble
all day on Twitter, they're like, Canada too, you dumbass American.
Right.
Oh,
yes. But here's what I have to say about Rumble being in Canada is in Canada, they have hate speech laws, right? Why aren't they cracking down on Rumble for the propaganda that Rumble is spreading? I don't understand.
It's a good.
Where's the political will?
That's a good thing. We have a lot of Canadian friends and viewers, so that is a good thing to put out there. I do want to say I was reading Nina Burley's review of the new Michael Wolff book about Fox and Roger Ailes, and I was very pleased to see that Ailes, who of course is an evil POS, actually hired Sean Hannity because he was dumb. And I've actually seen that activity occur. So I was like, oh, that makes total sense. Having been in broadcast news within that network as long as I had, I was like, oh, that makes total sense. Like,
because completely. He was dumb?
Yeah.
Well,
dumb making 800 a week somewhere. And he's just like, oh, this will be a great puppet. And why I think that's important and why it resonated with me is that we saw who these people really were with the Dominion court documents. We got a glimpse into who they were because they were like, oh, you know, Sidney Powell's nuts, and, you know, Giuliani, oh my God. And one other thing from the Michael Wolff book, which I really love, was a nice anecdote of a very, very inebriated Laura Ingraham, who apparently nobody wanted to ride with on a plane. So, I mean, these people it's not funny, it's sad, but it's like they're harming our country.
Imagine, I'm just saying, imagine drunk Laura Ingraham
Don't
next
want
to
to.
you on a plane.
Don't want to.
Imagine having that like it's the last dregs of the people coming on the plane, and you're sitting there like, oh shit, please nobody fill that seat.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Everyone shows up. There's anybody, any immigrants in this row? It's just incredible. And they hate each other. They hate their guests. They hate their network. They hate the American people. They just hate everything. They don't, and like you said, from their text messages, it's revealing. It's not just a salacious thing. It's revealing. For example, what's her name? Maria, on Fox.
Oh, yeah.
I'm having a total brain fart.
Bartolomo.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Maria Bartiromo is seen in her text messages literally getting brainwashed by Steve Bannon, right? She's like, I'm scared, Steve. And he's like, you just gotta hang in there and fight. I mean, it was garden variety, like cult leader psyoping their victim, indoctrinating into some weird fucking thing. Be scared of this thing. Be fucking scared of it. But if you just hang out with us, we're powerful and cool, and we have secret information, right? And you literally see this back and forth, and that's what all cult leaders do. And what does Maria Bartiromo do? Mm-hmm. She goes on TV with Tim Ballard and talks about kids being child trapficked in Wayfair cabinets. Mm-hmm. Right? That's what happens.
Yeah.
Right? Behind the scenes, these people are just people like us. And this is really important. The Steve Bannon line, flood the zone, was shit. That was actually not about people. That was about, people as well, but not everybody. That was about the media. About flooding the media zone, the information sphere from which the media gets their stories. Flood that with shit and make it impossible for them to write anything effective. Now, take a look around and see if that shit has played out, as expected. It certainly has.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to point out again, people say that thing, and they do it to humans as well, to normal, everyday people. But the media themselves are heavily targeted by this thing. And,
oh yeah.
We start recognizing that, when you see the same person kind of, doing some weird shit multiple times, there are in fact a lot of journalists who have ulterior motives.
Yes, I did a whole thread on all of the connections between Fox and Fox Talent and Russia, and I was shocked. I was shocked. And there was an article in the thread. I'm going to retweet the thread right now. There was an article about how reporters are often targeted. So it's not surprising. What you're saying is not surprising. And certainly there was all kinds of ties to Russia, outreach to Putin, fascinating stuff. And Murdoch is a bad actor in all of this. And I think we should show Julie's second clip, if you have it, Hi-Fi, and just let it roll. It's important.
You remember while he was looking for that?
Rupert Murdoch, everyone's all in a tizzy because Rupert's stepping down. But he's putting his son Lachlan in charge. And to me, this is, here's Rupert 2.0. It's going to be the same, if not worse. What do you think?
It's a non-event. I really believe it's a non-event.
Wow.
I think it's sort of like he's running a trial balloon to see if he can pass Lachlan off. And he's not retiring, for God's sakes. The man is not going to give up power.
He's
won't.
chairman emeritus.
Emeritus.
He's not.
Oh, yeah.
It's such a ruse.
You can add some Latin words if you want, but you know.
Thank you. Yeah. No, it's really sort of funny watching everybody get hysterical about, oh, he's not fading from the scene until and I'm not going to say it. And only then, when that day happens, will there be an opportunity for actual fundamental change at Fox.
The whole fucking thing should just be melted down into into its component parts, and non-compromised people should be put in charge of it. I'm sorry, but if you build a fucking weapon inside the United States of America with your suddenly acquired citizenship from after being in Australia or whatever, because your buddies with Reagan and shit, like, if you build a giant psychological weapon that's just making people act like fucking zombies, like, it's okay, I think, for us to do something about that. And we are just paralyzed about this shit. We're just letting Telegram out there all day long. I mean, I watch this shit. Oh my God, it's just millions of people in this grinder.
Yeah.
Right? You go, I have 500 channels, and I can hop around from every harmful ideology possible, and it's just Nazis and QAnon. It's just awful. And it's huge, and why are we allowing that?
I don't know.
I mean, some Russian in the UAE, who has got connections to Russian intelligence, runs Telegram. Why the fuck are we letting our citizens get brainwashed on there? I don't get it.
It's not.
Speaking of the brainwashing on there, hold on.
Donald Trump won the 2020 election.
We're fighting for our country. We're fighting for our families. We're fighting for our values.
They're the ones that have the fear. That's where they're striking out all over. That's where they're ripping apart the Constitution. Keep building and keep building. Keep building. Keep building this army. Keep building and keep building. Keep building. Keep building this army. Keep building and keep building. Keep building. Keep building this army. Keep building and keep building. Keep building. Keep building this army.
So what are we looking at here?
That's enough of that.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, it's important we
see
it.
That is a video of that somebody made to one of Trump's QAnon meme lords, the ultra MAGA something, and they made a compilation that had a whole lot of Flynn in it that was just literally about murdering Marxists and the deep state and globalists and all the ways of saying the Jews without saying it. I mean, literally. It's the blatant sort of white supremacist, open, okay, yeah, we're fucking Nazis. It's just becoming very, very blatant. What specifically alarmed me about that one was just that its entire focus was violence. And it was long. It was a 3-minute video or something. I cut it down to some, but what's confusing, and Flynn shared that himself on Telegram. It wasn't just some rando. Like, Flynn was like, that. And we're building it, keep building that army, keep building it. And he says it over and over and over and over again. And why is that? Right? Because he's pounding these ideas into people's brains. And what is the only possible result? The only possible result of what they're doing openly in public all day long. What is the only possible result?
Violence.
Why is it confusing to us? Going to back before, and I will land my point. I'm going to say something I've said before. Fuck it. Free speech that hurts people is not free.
Yeah.
If I say something about somebody and it hurts them, then, as I know, you can be sued for defamation, right? Because there's a cost on the other end. But we're not doing anything about, right? Like if you're the target of it, in theory, you're supposed to be able to do something about it, right? But in reality, like, these people can just say anything the fuck they want, and that's not okay. That is just not going to work, and it's not about censorship. No. They put it in censorship terms. They put it in free speech terms. Oh, you're breaching my constitutional rights because I can't brainwash your grandma, right? That's what they're saying. I want to brainwash your grandma. You have to let me because of the Constitution. I'm pretty fucking sure if we sat down, Thomas Jefferson, we're like, bro, listen, shit changed. You know what I'm saying? So when you used to talk, right, there'd be some people around you who could hear it, right? And you couldn't say it many times because people get bored and walk away, right? So now imagine it's different. And now you can have 1 billion people surrounding you that can just scream in your fucking ear all day long, the same thing all day long, right? And if they do that, what happens to that person is they turn into a fucking zombie. What do you think, Tom? Is that free speech? Tom's not going to say, he's going to say, of course not. The Constitution was designed to be amended, to be progressive, to build upon itself, to add things as we learn. But a bunch of regressive asshats are not only not letting our founding documents evolve, they're misinterpreting them and giving this white supremacist Supreme Court the ability to destroy a fucking nation. So, I don't know, man. We've got to understand words, data, content, the connections between human beings. And I wrote about this, that is an evolutionary fucking step.
Yeah.
That is being hijacked.
Yeah.
Social media is hijacking a capability that we've grown over the last 30 years, which is to connect our brains, in effect, to an enormous computer system, an enormous amount of data, right? This is an amazing fucking thing. The problem is that the rules that govern that whole attack surface have not materialized, have not kept up. And so we're out here stuck like little babies while a bunch of oligarchs like shoot nuclear psychological weapons at us in a barrel, right? The thing we need to do is be like, yo, those dudes need to stop that shit. We don't want it. And we have that right. We have the right to demand that our laws and our rules keep up with what's actually happening to human beings.
We also have the ability to do it. That's what's so crazy, is we have the ability, we have the right to demand it. We have the resources and the ability to do it. We know what to do. Other countries know that it's serious and they've learned what to do. Germany, we always say this, has an anti-fascist police force. Why? Because fascism is unfortunately Germany's legacy, and millions of people perished because nobody at the time did anything to stop it. And then they learned that hate speech leads to genocide. And so we're just allowing it to continue because of a misrepresentation of our Constitution. Both the First and the Second Amendment are being misrepresented. I want to say that Ruth wrote the phrase, a MAGA hat and a gun. A MAGA hat and a gun. That is Trump's brand. Trump's brand is violence. And all the people that we are talking about and that we warn about on this show, their brand is violence. So if we have America's foremost scholar on fascism telling us that their brand is violence and that the image is the MAGA hat and the gun, then I think we should do something about it. It shouldn't be me, Jim, and Hi-Fi a couple times a week pointing it out and screaming about it. We have the world's greatest scholars pointing it out and screaming about it. Ruth, of course, much more elegantly and calmly, but nevertheless. So if the brand is violence, and we've already seen an insurrection, and we've already seen the coordinated effort of people within our military, intelligence, secret service, we've already seen all that, then why not address it and do a speech in front of America? Say we're going to be attacking this information warfare. We're going to be doing a clean sweep. New head of the FBI. New head of the FBI's job is to clean out anybody who has been complicit, anybody who has been working for the authoritarians. Let's do some big, bold moves the way that we used to. I believe that we can do it. I believe that we are seeing evidence that people are taking the democracy seriously from Kansas to Ohio. We've seen it. From Tennessee, we've seen it. It's just that, as Jim says, we are losing the information war because the Western leaders have not banded together and said, hey, we're in the middle of one. We're going to, join ranks and we're going to fight it. And we're going to, take care of our people whose minds are being hacked at scale. We have the ability to do it.
It's really just about preventing a foreign enemy nation state from radiating the brains of Americans through well-known distribution channels.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're going to have to set up a new kind of, system for monitoring it, right? I'm getting fucking old, man. I can't do this shit forever.
Don't even say that, bro. We need you to.
Yeah, I'll be here, but we need the authorities to get involved. Otherwise, we're done here. And I keep feeling and seeing hopium that maybe this Jack Smith's investigation is going to start rumbling again or whatever. I don't know, man. All I know is the only real action out there has been two black women who've been saving democracy for the rest of us, right? As they frankly so often do. And I need some of these old crackers in the fucking White House and in the Justice Department, and especially in the FBI, to start paying attention, because the women I know are sick of this shit.
Yeah.
So
True.
And speaking of paying attention, could someone please look into these people? Crowdfunding site Give Send Go. I mean, they were sponsoring CPAC in Australia, and we know that they are using Stripe as their payment processor. And who?
Oh, hi. Thanks for checking in. I'm still a piece of garbage.
I knew it. I knew that.
I saw it. It was great. It was great. What I need to know is
the whole Give Send Go thing. It was the drop off, the drop in was a little rough, man. I gotta say. It was like, wait.
It's hard for me to like.
It's Hi-Fi though. It's Hi-Fi. It's Hi-Fi.
You got there. You connected the dots, bro. It's good.
You landed the plane. Hey, hi-fi, do we have 3 or 4 clips left of Julie's? Because if we have the third one, I'd like to see it.
Let's watch the third one real fast, and
Okay.
then I got something kind of long for us to go out on.
Okay,
And
cool.
I don't totally agree with Jim's assessment about Biden's speech, and I'll show you why.
Okay.
But here's Julie first.
Thank you.
We make the mistake in America of looking at Murdoch and really not looking at Murdoch, but just looking at Fox News and the damage Fox News has done, rather than making the connection of how the Murdochs, Rupert, but the Murdochs have skewed and perverted politics and society throughout the English-speaking world, and therefore in the world at large. So without Murdoch, you would not have had Brexit. Without Murdoch, you would not have had the Iraq War. We're going back decades here. The damage this man has unleashed on the world goes back decades. You know, everyone's looking at this narrow slice. Oh, Trump. You know, he set the stage. Murdoch set the stage for Trump. Murdoch made Trump possible. Murdoch made Trump's big lie after he lost possible. Murdoch made January 6th possible. I just want to, you know, say it again. There's so, not just Fox, but Murdoch has so much blood on his hands. And one positive aspect I see of this, you know, the hysteria around news is the Murdoch retirement news, is that it may shine a light on Murdoch and the Murdochs per se, rather than just their disparate entities, Sky News, The Sun, Fox. And what I would really love to see is the Murdoch name made poison, like the Sacklers name is attached to opiate deaths across America. I want to see the Murdoch name attached to the poison and the destruction they've wrought all across the world.
That was such a good interview.
All our interviews
really
are
was.
dope. All our interviews are dope. Julie is amazing. Julie is freaking amazing. I don't know if you have the last clip. It's only 10 seconds. I don't know if you cut it. But basically, I asked her, are we going to be able to defeat this fascist creep if Fox News is still on air? And she said she didn't think so. That was it. So it's like, this is how serious it is.
It is.
I mean,
serious.
yeah, you can't. Again, if you cannot expect people to get better if you're going to keep poisoning them. It's not a difficult analogy. Think Flint water. There's lead in the water. The lead makes the kids stupid for the rest of their lives, right? What do you do? You should get the fucking lead out of the water. Then certainly not feed any more of it to your kids, right? And guess what? When you stop poisoning the kids, they get better. The ones that have ingested it have some permanent damage, but they get better. And certainly the new kids are fine. It's not any different. You got to turn the lead off. Stop poisoning our people, and their brains will get better.
I do have a hopeful thing, and this is just one person, but I've always said if we can get one person, if we can help one person at a time, then we're doing something. And one of our viewers' spouses decided that this person decided on her own, she's no longer watching Fox because she said it makes her angry all the time. and she doesn't want to be angry all the time anymore. So one person determined that she no longer wanted to be angry all the time. Imagine if we could turn that flame down and not have a country filled with outraged junkies, because that's what we've created. And if Murdoch's name could be associated with the poison like the Sacklers, wow, that'd be incredible. And that's how it should be.
Yeah. I mean, I hope some whistleblower goes in there and pulls out all the real shit. I want to see the actual Succession, like the real life Succession series about them. Like once we figure out like what the fuck, why are they doing this?
Yeah.
It's not just money.
Yeah.
There's ideology involved with these people.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And how far back does this go? What was his relationship with Reagan? Like, I want to know how we ended up in this fucking situation.
Well, my American Monster series #3, my profile of Roy Cohn, Trump and Stone's mentor, he brokered that deal. He brought Rupert into the White House to meet Reagan. So that's how far back it goes.
Marty drops a bomb. She's like, American Monster #3, bitch.
Yeah.
American Monster #3, and
we should be concerned. We should be concerned that the lawyer for the 5 heads of the mob families in the 5 boroughs of New York brokered that deal in the White House. We should be concerned that he mentored Donald fucking Trump. We should be concerned that he mentored Roger fucking Stone. We should be concerned about all this. We shouldn't worry so much about the garbage TV that the Republicans are putting out. We should be concerned about our very own recent history and connect those dots. And wouldn't that be amazing if the media did its job? That'd be fabulous, but we'll see.
They're fighting little children. We'll get them there.
Okay.
We'll get them there. We're gonna.
All right.
So
all right.
We're breaking some ice.
Okay. I love it.
There's green shoots.
Okay. I love it. I'm excited. That's exciting.
I just need people to remember that, America is the country of Robert Johnson and Hank Williams Sr., of Johnny Cash and Little Richard, of Dolly Parton and Aretha Franklin. Like, we've always been a mix in America, and right now it feels like America is, our democracy is in a knife fight, and we're not really stepping up to what needs to be done. But I will give Biden some credit, because today, in his speech, he did say some things that I think were important. So I'm going to kind of close us out with this.
Let's hear it.
Just consider these as actual quotes from MAGA, the MAGA movement. Quote, "I am your retribution." Slitting throats of civil servants, replacing them with extreme political cronies. MAGA extremists proclaim support for law enforcement only to say, quote, "We must destroy the FBI." It's not one person. It's a controlling element of the House Republican Party. Whitewash attacks of January 6th by calling the spearing and stomping of police quote, "a legitimate political discourse." Do you ever think you'd hear leaders of political parties in the United States of America speak like that? Seizing power, concentrating power, attempting to abuse power, purging and packing key institutions, spewing conspiracy theories, spreading lies for profit and power to divide America in every way, inciting violence against those who risk their lives to keep America safe, weaponizing against the very soul of who we are as Americans, This MAGA threat is a threat to the brick and mortar of our democratic institutions. But it's also a threat to the character of our nation. That gives our Constitution life. That binds us together as Americans in common cause. None of this is surprising now. They've tried to govern that way before. And thank God they failed. But they haven't given up. Just look at recent days. There are accusations of treason against the major news network because they don't like its coverage. I don't know what the hell I'd say about Fox if that becomes the rule. But think about it. I'm joking, but think about it. Tomorrow, I have the honor of overseeing the change of responsibilities of the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff of the United States Military. From one genuine hero and patriot, General Mark Milley, to another, General C.Q. Brown. Both defining leaders of our time. And yet, here is what you hear from MAGA extremists about the retiring patriot general honoring his oath to the Constitution. Quote, he's a traitor, end of quote. In times gone by, the punishment, quote, in times gone by, the punishment would have been death, end of quote. This is the United States of America. This is the United States of America. And although I don't believe even a majority of Republicans think that, the silence is deafening. The silence is deafening. Hardly any Republican called out such heinous statements. Just as they watched one MAGA senator outrageously said blocking the promotions of hundreds of top military leaders and affecting not only those leaders but their families, their children. MAGA extremists claim support of our troops, but they're harming military readiness, leadership, troop morale, freezing pay, freezing military families in limbo. Just as they look the other way when the defeated former president refused to pay respects at an American cemetery near Paris, referring to the American servicemen buried there, and I've been to the cemetery, as suckers and losers. Quotes. I'm not making this up. I know we all tried not to remember it. But that's what he said. He called servicemen suckers and losers. Was John a sucker? Was my son Bo, who lived next to a burn pit for a year and came home and died, was he a sucker for volunteering to serve his country? The same guy who denigrates terrorism of John McCain. It's not only wrong, it's un-American. But it never changes. The MAGA extremists across the country have made it clear where they stand. So the challenge for the rest of America, for the majority of Americans, is to make clear where we stand. Do we still believe in the Constitution? Do we believe in the basic decency and respect? The whole country should honestly ask itself, and I mean it sincerely, what it wants, and understand the threats to our democracy. I believe very strongly that the defining feature of our democracy is our Constitution. I believe in the separation of powers and checks and balances, that debate and disagreement do not lead to disunion. I believe in free and fair elections and a peaceful transfer of power. I believe there's no place in America, none, for political violence. We have to denounce hate, not embolden it. Across the aisle, across the country, I see fellow Americans, not mortal enemies. We're a great nation because we're good people who believe in honor, decency, and respect.